Hey guys, what's going on? It's the Chief or the ToastyTheHoasty here, and I am back once again for another video. And in today's video, we are going to be doing how to build a spawn area for your world. Of course, if you like what you're hearing, a positive rating is always appreciated. If you're new around here to the channel, I do welcome you. Consider subscribing. Got a lot of banger, lit, and chill content coming in every single week. Smash the like button with your forehead. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss an upload, and tell your dudes all about me. And with that being said, let's get right into this video. For the people that have been asking for centuries on tutorial, tip, trick, how to build videos on the channel, this is for you. I've been really considering these type of videos on tutorials and tips and tricks and overall how to build videos on the channel here for quite some time, but I'm finally making it a reality. So if you guys are liking what you're hearing, of course, stay tuned because there is going to be a lot more coming your way. And in today's video, it is going to be on the Dark Nexus V2 spawn area. I'm going to be redesigning that. I've already told a bunch of people that I would be doing that. Also, too, with the communities as well. I've been posting a bunch of pictures on the new type of project I've been working on, and that is what we are going to be working on today. So, of course, if you do like it, a positive rating is always appreciated. Tell your dudes about me, and that's all I really have to say. Hope you do enjoy, and let's get right into it. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do for your spawn area, if you're going to make a little city, make sure you have your stilts or have a location of where you're going to have it. So for example, right now I have two L shapes on the left and the right, indicating where I'm going to have the little stilts, just like I have for the cathedral. And as you can see right now, I'm building it up in threes, a 3x3 area. And after you've done that, after you find your location, you can then decorate it for whatever blocks you can want with it. So for example, I used the generic color scheme with the whole entire stone brick, cobblestone walls, stone brick stairs, and slabs, giving as much detail as possible in any sort of wall. Really brings out builds, and it brings out like all entire walls in general, because having just plain walls and plain pillars isn't going to really bring out your walls. So if you want a better server look, if you want a better type of style, make sure you add details, make sure you add all of those types of blocks like walls, fences, buttons, stairs, slabs, etc., etc. Moving on, after we've done all of the walls, we can finally start on the gate. So as you can see right here, I start out with a thin, very, very thin cyan stained clay kind of archway, just giving myself a feel of where the gate is actually going to be. If you're going to make a big gate, make sure you are going to leave a lot of space for the actual build itself. So as you can see, I have a lot of room, and there is a lot of space for me to implement more or less of the gate if I do wish to do so. That is up to you guys, though. If you're going to do a small gate, you can do a small gate. But then, with that being said, make sure to have a great and good layout before you start detailing and before you start making it bigger, so you don't mess up in the long run. Next, we are going to start detailing the actual thing itself. So after all of the cyan stained clay is all placed, after it's thickened, we can finally start on the actual doorway. So what I decided to do is I went for a dark oak wood planks, and I made one door shut and to make one door open. To make this illusion, all you need to do is have one door closed on one side and have the other door slightly open by arching the blocks in a different direction, off to the right or left, depending on which side of the door it's going to be open on. To make this effective as possible, try to make the door that is opened try to make it as the same size as possible to the one that is closed. If you don't make it as the same size, it's going to look weird and it's going to make it look unrealistic. I then detailed the wall with some spruce stairs and some cobblestone fencing, as well as some stone brick stairs and some birch wood planks at the background for some more detail, adding a little more color into the actual build itself, having more detail in the actual wall itself, and of course into the door gives it more of a texture and feel for it. As you can see right here with the birch wood, it just enhances the build overall, and adding the cobblestone with it as well with the stone brick stairs to make it look like the locking mechanisms or even like the doorknob handles for the actual gateway itself really brings out the dark oak wood in the actual gate itself. So adding as much detail as possible with, of course, the blocks that we've been using is a really great way to spice up your block. So now we are going to start on the pillar for the actual side railing now. So for the actual side pillar of the actual gateway, by detailing most of the thing, or with the pillar, with mostly stone brick, adding a bunch of stone brick stairs, and a bunch of slabs as well, adding in with detail with the stone brick stairs, slabs, cobblestone walls, buttons, some spruce fences, and gates as well. They are slight, subtle little details that can really bring out your building. So if you guys want a lot of detail in a very small confined space, make sure you add those type of blocks in. So for example, as you can see here, I'm only adding in a few of the cobblestone walls or the fences, as you can see on screen right now. And it brings out the build and the color of the pillar, and it really emphasizes on the actual pillar itself. It makes it look more vibrant and better instead of just a plain old pillar. Now we're going to be starting on the top section, so I grabbed some polish andesite and I started to work my way up by making a little archway. I just had to clean some things up at the top, as you can see on screen, and then I added the polished granite, not andesite, sorry, and I started to work away, making it a little thicker every time I'm adding each layer. By doing this, every time you add a layer in, you can then add more detail upon the actual build. As you can see right here, I am now adding in some spruce slabs to add more of the color and more of the kind of design for the actual build itself. So as you can see, it really brings out the actual build itself. And you can see that then I add some cyan stained clay at the back to make a kind of a railing or a trimming. And then I add some more detail as of right there. I then add a lot of buttons and some more cobblestone walls on the edges of the build itself, and then I finish off the top of the gateway with some birch slabs, give it more of a different color and to make the others stand out. With that being said, as you guys can see from the gateway, it is just looking beautiful. As you can see with the different color selections I've selected here, adding some birch wood slabs onto the actual pillar itself as well, really good. It's really good. If you want to emphasize on builds, make sure that you amalgamate and make sure you put your blocks in great positions so they can all stand out. Next, we are going to be making the kind of gate looking fencing in the actual gateway itself. So first I started off with a 3x3 area and I went up one block with the actual pillar itself. And I then broke some blocks, kind of adjusting to the right size I wanted. Then I got to work on the actual detailing for the pillars. So starting off, as you can see right now, I got some stone brick stairs, and I started to arch them in a kind of spiky looking way. Kind of looks like a top of a trident if it's not, like connected to anything at the bottom, etc., etc. And then I added some andesite to bring out some more colors, make it different from the actual stone brick itself. So changing up your colors from different stones or any type of color in general, if you're working with wood, sandstone, terracotta, it all matters. Switching up as much as you can really does matter. And then after I'd done the pillars, I made a little archway to where the actual chain fencing is going to go. I didn't actually get the chain fencing, the audio or the video actually cut out. I'm not too sure what happened there. But as you can see in the background, I use cauldrons for this effect. And on the back, I just copied the same layout and design of the pillars and the top of the detail that I did for the front side on the back. So that is what I am doing here. As you can see, I've already done the effect with the chain. Really nice. Let's keep moving forward. We then move on to the big tree. So first, I did a nice little circle layout. If you guys want to build a tree, I wanted to go for an arching look. So what I wanted to do is I veered off to the one side, and then I was kind of fiddling around with how it was going to go and the size of it. But then I finally got my way, and I finally started to kind of position it where it was starting to curve. So what you want to do in this scenario is you don't want to curve thick. You don't want to curve it in a very, very thick way. What you want to do is you want to start out with a small base or a big base, depending on what type of tree you want, and then curve to your liking in a thin fashion. As you can see right here, I am just slowly curving the end of the tree while adding thickness to the actual branch. In doing so, not only are you going to be making adjustments along the way, you're going to see that by curving it in the way that you are doing by making it slow, you're going to have the chance to make the thickness that you want. If you're going to make the thickness right at the beginning, it's going to look pretty awkward and you're not going to be able to get the kind of swirl or the bend within your tree. If you're going to do something of a tree type style where it has a bend in it, make sure you go slow around maybe a couple of blocks, one block around as demonstrated here, and then add thickness over time. And the branches, I did something pretty unique. I did the branches with some dark oak wood stairs, some planks, and some slabs to add the thin like twig type of feel to the actual twig itself and the branch, and I curved it around to make it look like it was actually grabbing on to the actual pillar itself. So as you can see there, it looks like it is grabbing on. It kind of feels like it is integrated within the pillar and it is growing with it. As you can see right here, I then used the slabs to my ability and I just curved it up, and I curved it in many different ways, shapes, and styles. As you can see right here, I used many different styles and shapes, making it look like it is just funky and natural. The way that you do branches, you have to do them naturally. It's not all perfect. No tree is perfect. That is how they are made. All of them are made through organics and all of that. No tree, no flower, no biome type is going to be perfect. As you can see right here, these branches are going to be a little unsettling and they are going to be a little bit twirly because that is the feel I'm going for, a more kind of magical fantasy type look here, as you can see right here, and I've done that perfectly. And at the end, I did the top of the tree with the brown carpet, so if you don't want that ugly type of circle root look, you can add brown carpet on top of the actual log itself to make it look natural in itself. And after that, I did some organic leaves. So I got some birch wood, I got some birch leaves, some green and lime green terracotta, and I decorated the whole entire kind of stems of the trees and the ends of the trees with those type of blocks. So as you can see here, I'm just slightly putting in those blocks. I'm not fully decorating it with like a full-on forest or a full-on tree. It's just like a small mini tree that you can that you can see the tree itself, but don't have to see it in just a huge bush or it's something of a oak wood bush. Next, we are going to be building more into the garden section or the nature section. So first I started off with the branching off where I kind of intersected it off. So as you can see here, I used a stone brick just for me to have a layout, and then I broke into the ground and I started to place my green terracotta. And the second layer as well was going to be for, as you can see on screen right now, for the actual kind of top bit. If you're going to do any terrain for your spawn area, make sure you're going to have some sort of terrain to make at least some sort of feel. For the spawn area here, I only have just one layer above. You don't have to have a huge hill or a mountain or anything like that. I then moved over to the right side of the build, as you can see right here, me in the corner, and I am building this little section upon for a cherry blossom tree to go upon. So I just got to work. I was going to use some brown terracotta, but then I changed my mind and I put in some of the detail there, as you can see, with some green terracotta, and I made a little hilly effect or at least some terrain type forming. As you can see here, a little bump in the actual terrain will make a huge difference of just having it flat. By adding a little bit of terrain and adding a little bit of shape into your builds or any type of terrain makes the build 100 times better. 100%. Every single time you're going to do a terrain or a build, make sure you have some level. Next, we are going to be looking at the other section of the build. So first off, we start off with a brown terracotta base, and we surround it with lime green terracotta to make it more of a grass field instead of a darker color. We then start to match the house, or start to make the foundations of the house, and what I'm going for is more of a fantasy, mystical type feel for this house. So what I did is I got some dark oak wood logs, and I started to make the frame of the actual house itself. I used some nice looking terracotta, some granite and polished granite for the actual build itself. I then used those blocks to my advantage to make the walls look better in their design. As you can see on the walls, they look 10 times better by adding more detail to the walls with different blocks that look the exact same. For example, terracotta, granite, and polished granite look very, very good with the terracotta. So doing that will enhance your builds, even with other blocks as well. I will be able to get other videos. And then after that, I made a red mushroom top on top of that one tower there to make more of a mystical type of fantasy build, as you can see there. And after that, I just detailed around the house with the exact same blocks, with the terracotta, the polished granite, and the regular granite. And then I used the same technique I did with the big tree up top there on the kind of pedestal there, and I curved it around the tree to make it look like the tree was growing into the actual build of this little house here. And then I just detailed it with some of the same same leaf types I did with the tree. The next thing we're going to be looking at is this rose I am going to be making. So what I did first, as I did the same technique with the brown terracotta and green terracotta, and then I made the stem of the actual flower out of green terracotta to make some color difference in the actual build itself. So as you can see, I didn't go too high with this build. If you're going to make any organic flower or build, make sure that it is at the correct size that you want it, and don't make it too big. I then make my little stems off to the left and right and put in some lime green terracotta to simulate the effect of the leaves on the actual flower, and then I droop them down to give it more of a lifelike feel. As you can see right here, I give it more of a lifelike feel by drooping it down and by giving it more style to it. As you can see right there, I build the actual flower itself with some nether brick, red nether brick, and some black concrete for the trimming. I then later on in the video change it, and then I use some spruce fencing for the thorn effect for the actual roads itself. In the backing area, all I did is I grabbed some brown terracotta and some dark oak wood planks just to give it some detail so I can work with it later when the time comes. The next thing we're going to be working on is a pink flower. So what I grabbed is some mushroom blocks, the default mushroom blocks, the white ones, and I started to curve them so it would go up in a nice fashion, in a tall fashion. And then I started to kind of work my way up by, thinning it, thickening it. Of course, it takes some time, so it doesn't. So when you're building any organic flower or any organic tree, make sure to have some time when building this. I then use some other branches or some other leaf stems in this build as well, as you can see me building off of the other ones. And then I wasn't really too happy about the one stem, so I did break it and I built on another one. I then used some pink wool for the actual flower itself. You wanted the flower to make it look like a nice feel, a nice round feel. So that is what I did for this build here. I used pink wool for the entire flower, and then after that I used some pink glass for the insides, kind of where the nectar I guess would be, and I did that 3 times all around. The kind of flat flower I destroyed and I made it into the more kind of lifelike flower that you see on screen right now. And after that, to give it more of a flower feel, I actually added some white glass trimming. Adding glass for any sort of builds or any organic builds really brings out the color in it. For example, if you're going to build any sort of tree or any sort of organic flower, adding glass to it, for example, as you can see on screen, by adding the white glass, it adds that nice light touch. If you add something of white wool, you could add white wool, but glass just makes it a whole lot better. As you can see here, I did change the flower to a regular one, and I'm just trimming it up with a bunch of the white glass and making it more lifelike and better. So as you can see there, all of the flowers are done for, and as you can see there, I did change up the rows that we are going to be doing in a second here. So as you can see, I'm just trimming up the actual flower there, and make sure you don't make your flowers too big unless you want your flowers to be big. For example, in my tutorial slash tip trick video here, the flowers I'm doing here is more of a fantasy type look. So as you can see here, these flowers are pretty huge, and make sure you make them to scale. As you can see on video here, these are up to scale of what I want to do them. Alright, so we are going to be working on the back section, but before we do that, I think I did. Alright, this is what I did. I added some flowers, and I added some podzol, and I went to the pink flowers for near the mushroom, and I added some rose bushes to near the rose. By adding any sort of flower to any sort of your builds or any sort of structure or whatever you're going to do for any, if you're going to do a garden, if you're going to do a fantasy thing, adding flowers to your builds is going to greatly enhance the color of it, and it's going to greatly enhance how it looks. I then started on the pathway, so I used andesite for my pathways with the ground being stone. The reason why I used andesite is because andesite is a lighter feel for a block instead of cobblestone. As you can see, I'm placing down cobblestone right now, and you can greatly see the difference between andesite, cobblestone, and the regular stone. So for me, I like light pathways, and I used diorite as well into the build just for a light effect, and then I use some polished andesite off to the side to give it more of that pathway feel. But in terms of the andesite, I like the overall type of feel where it's a lighter color. So if you want to do any sort of pathways for your builds or for the spawn area, most importantly, if you're going to have a stone type feel for it, andesite, cobblestone, stone, and diorite is probably the best picks, I would have to say, for a nice pathway. As you can see here, I'm just detailing the sides up with some diorite here, and I'm doing it only a few blocks. I'm not doing it tons of blocks. I might even go back as of right now to remove some, because you don't want to cover the whole entire pathway with just white. As you can see here, the white is only there just to bring emphasis on the actual pathway itself. Without the diorite, you can see that it is not really itself. As you can see right now, I'm adding the diorite and adding more color and adding more onto the actual build, but that's for that. Onto the other side, I'm going back to the cherry blossom tree, as you can see right here, and I'm going with the same style I did with the regular tree. So what I started to do is I started off with a small base, and I started to curve it up slowly. As you can see here, I'm only going up a few blocks. So if you want to add any sort of tree to your build or a curved tree, as you can see here, I'm going many different ways with this style of tree right here. I'm only going up a few blocks, and after I'm done up those few blocks, I can then add some more thickness to the actual branch of the tree, making it more lifelike, as you can see on screen right now. By doing slow building in the thin, you can then see how it's going to look like in the actual final product. For example, if you build up your tree trunk slow and build it thin, you can then add on thickness and you can build it better than what it's supposed to be, and it'll just make the build look better overall. I then added some more brown terracotta at the bottom, detailed it up with some some dark oak wood planks, and then after that I detailed a little bit and I fixed up the tree to make all of the planks go in the same direction. And after that, we added the branches with the same dark oak wood slabs, and then I added pink pink wool and pink terracotta for the leaves. As you can see right here, it's just noticeable to see that it is a cherry blossom tree, and it's nothing out of the ordinary at that it's a huge bush tree as some other servers would have them. I can do them personally myself, but I am going more for a kind of less of a leaf type tree right here. And as you can see on screen, it is just phenomenal. As you can see right now, it went together perfectly. And as you're placing leaves on your trees, don't make them too close to each other. As you can see on screen right now, I am putting them apart from each other, and I'm trying not to put them in spaces that they'll be with other blocks. So for example, I'm trying to separate the pink wool, and I'm trying to separate the pink wool from other blocks, so from the other pink wool blocks, so it doesn't create clutter. You want to make it a nice shape, and you want to make it a nice looking tree so it doesn't look all cluttered. And then after that, I just added some pink wool and pink terracotta on the ground to make the effect that the leaves of the cherry blossom tree were actually fading away and falling down from the tree itself. And then I grabbed some of those pink flowers with some podzol, and I decorated around the actual area itself to give it more kind of a nature and more realistic feel, as you can see on screen right now. It turned out really well. As you can see on screen right now, that is just a beautiful background, but we are not done yet. We still have the backing area for the actual spawn area. So first thing what we're going to do is we're going to build another house. So what we need to do is we need to have a little structure here. So as you can see right now, I'm only building the skeleton of the actual build itself. Just to keep in mind, if you are going to build any sort of houses, make sure you have space to do it. As you can see right here, I'm going for more smaller type houses, so I don't really need to worry. But if you are going to work on larger projects, make sure you do have space in order to do so. And by building houses, make sure to map out where it's going to go. After I build the house, I then build the terrain outside of the actual map itself. So I get some lime green terracotta, some dark oak wood slabs, and then I start patching it up with some dark green terracotta on the outside to then match it and to make it more detailed. As you can see on screen, it is more detailed along the side. I then add some brown terracotta with some podzol and some flowers within it as well, with some birch leaves, giving more of a garden feel to the actual build itself. By adding leaves, it brings out the color in the green that you have. The next thing we are going to be going over, we just finish up all of the greens. As you can see right here, I am done with everything. As you can see on screen, I have all of the leaves in place. I have all of the things done. And as you can see on screen, it's pretty much done. All of this area is pretty much done for completion and for the next area that I'm going to be working on. And this build was a fun build. It was a really fun build. As you can see right here, I'm just placing down the few things that I need to do. So like the flowers, rose bushes, etc. All I need to do is that on the build, and that is pretty much it for the build. That is pretty much it. I had a lot of fun building this section of the map, and I can't wait to build more of it, because the thing is, this is only the tip of the iceberg for the build, as you can see on screen, and for the whole entire spawn area. I've only hit the tip of the iceberg. Get ready to see a lot more. As you can see on screen, this thing is just massive right now. I can't wait to get out more in the future. Get ready to see a lot more. But that is basically it for the whole entire nature area or section of this video. Alrighty, that is going to do it for this tip, trick, speed build tutorial video here. So of course, I hope you guys did all enjoy. If you are new around here to the channel, please do subscribe. Got a lot of banger lit content coming in every single week on the channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any uploads. Smash the like button with your faux head. And that is all I really have to say. It's been a very fun time building this project and making this video. So get ready to see a lot more on the channel. And if you like the video, of course, smash the like button with your faux head. That's all I really got to say. If you're new around here, subscribe. If you want to have a chill time with me and a fellow other toasty people, join the Discord. I will have the information down below in the description if you want to join my Discord. That's all I gotta say. Get ready to see a lot more of these videos of the tip, trick, speed build videos. That's all I really gotta say. I'm gonna stop my rambling. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been the Chief or the Toastator, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out. See ya.